So I just launched from a school, and I did it all by myself, which I would not suggest anybody to do when it's only your second time launching. And I had a problem on launch. My goggles fell down as I was running and blocked my view, but the only time I knew I could fix them was back in the air, so I just kept running and kept doing what I needed to do, and was able to get up, and it worked out, but not something I'd suggest doing every time. So I'm approaching my cousin's house, which is right up here to my right, and I'm just double checking my wing here to make sure that everything looks okay. Yeah, alright, and my cousin's house is right there. So now I'm just checking to see if I notice who's home, and I'd never seen my cousin's place from the air, so I just want to do a little circle, check things out, see what's over here on the other side of the river. And this is Malala River, by the way. It's just looking around, kind of feeling there at the same time. So this is actually a gun club right here below me, and as I'm flying over I was just thinking, God, I hope they are not shooting this morning. But you know, I was up pretty early. This is about 8 a.m. in the morning, so I figured nobody would be there, and nobody was. But as I'm coming up to this, I'm approaching the Malala River, and I'm going to follow that in. So if you heard me say earlier that this was my second flight, well, that's true. This was the second time I'd launched, both times by myself, and I'm a hang glider pilot, and I've been doing that for about 8 years. And I took a lot of tips from some fellow pilots who have been paragliders and also been doing the paramotor thing. And I've been practicing kiting and learning how to control this for about 8 months, and I finally got to the point where I felt confident enough to launch myself, and it worked out. But I wouldn't suggest everybody doing that because that's kind of foolish. So as I'm flying here, I'm feeling little bumps, and I'm not really sure what the bumps are. I was thinking maybe it's a little bit of rotor off of these trees, but the wind wasn't really blowing that hard. But since this was my second flight, I didn't know how to interpret the wind and how it reacted, or how the wing reacted to it. So I'm following the river and I'm thinking, well, it's getting a little bumpy this way, so I'm going to turn around and actually start heading back. And that's a good choice, as you'll see later in the video. So at this point you're going to notice I'm starting to fly over a lot of trees. And whenever you're flying, even with a motor on your back, you want to always look for a way out. So if something bad happened, where would you land? And in this case, I was trying to keep these fields off to my left as an option, but I am still pretty low, so I was trying to gain a little bit of altitude over this area just in case. But believe me, I was a bit nervous. I don't like flying over areas where I have zero options for a bailout, and that's something you should always be paying attention to. So at this point, I thought I knew where I was, and I was like, okay, so that must be my cousin's house to my right. And I realized, wait a minute, that's not his house. Where am I? Now, I didn't think I went that far, but I actually did. So now I'm like, okay, there's a bridge in the background. Okay, yeah, now I know where I am. So I'm just going to cruise this little field, get down low, take a look and see what's going on, and just have a little fun here. It's always fun to wave at some people on the ground. You'll see some people up here on the left, and they're just waving at me from their driveway. There they are. And I'm just cruising this field real low. I'm just checking things out and getting close to my cousin's house up here on the right. One nice thing about having smoke coming out of a chimney, at least I know my wind direction, and I can see it's not blowing very hard, so that's pretty nice. I have to be honest, at that point I was seeing if I could be loud enough to get anybody out of the house and notice me, but nobody came out. Oh well. Now what you're seeing here to my right is an osprey nest, and I should not be flying near this, but I did look into it and I noticed there was not an osprey in it, so I felt a little bit better about that, but next time I'm going to be sure not to get close to that. So here I am going to make one more pass over my cousin's house, see if I can wake anybody up, but pay attention to my motor, see if you hear anything. Yeah. So my motor started surging. Now this was the second time it did this, and it happened at Sand Lake before, but it was running normally this whole flight until the very end. This was the point where I had to decide, do I turn around and land in the field, or do I take my chances over this area of homes where there is no bailout? And at this point I was just trying to gain altitude, had it full throttle, just gaining whatever I could get because the field I was going to land in was just up in front of me. So this is where the pucker factor started to relax, and I knew I was going to make this field, and I could see it, and it's right in front of me here. And that was that. Safe landing. I didn't know what ended up happening to the motor. I think it was a spark plug issue, but I ended up fixing it and it works good now. So thanks for watching.